Going on right now?
Yeah.
Well, come on now.
The Bills movie.
Oh, the
I
Bills.
thought you were part of the zeitgeist of the community, you know? Like, what?
I was on a girls trip this weekend. I wasn't paying attention.
Really?
Thanks over here.
Why do you have a kid family trip?
Okay.
No, we're in Arkansas. Hot
No,
Springs,
Paris.
Arkansas. Oh, wow. I wish.
Okay.
Unless you think I do need it.
Welcome, everyone, to the June 9th Town Board meeting. Councilman Matt Kane is excused, and would you please join me with the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. We have no public hearings tonight, so we'll get right into the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the May 27th, 2025 minutes for the town board meeting and the abstract of claims for June 9th, 2025?
So moved.
Motion by Jim. Can I have a second?
Luke? Go ahead and second, just test.
Second by Luke. Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next is audience one, an opportunity to address items on this agenda. If anyone would like to come up and do that, you're welcome to. Thank you all for coming. No. We have no public hearings tonight, so we'll get right into the consent agenda. Okay, seeing no one. Approve the May 27th. Under unfinished business, first we have the concrete quotes. I have spoken to the contractors and gotten all of the details worked out, so we are talking apples to apples and oranges to oranges. There was a little bit of confusion there in the beginning, but I'm satisfied that everybody's on the same page. So with that, can I have a motion to approve the low bid of $12,500 from Engasser Construction to pour a new 4-inch concrete slab at the pool after the pool closes?
So moved?
Motion by
Right.
Ray. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jim. Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next is the seeker. 1040A Sweet Road, as an unlisted action, will not have any significant adverse environmental impact, and the town board of the town of Aurora declares itself lead agency, and that a negative declaration is issued. Can I have a motion to adopt the seeker for the property at 1040 Sweet Road?
So moved.
Motion by Luke. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ray. Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And the resolution. Can I have a motion to adopt the following resolution? Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Chapter 99, Article 6, Open Development Area of the Code of the Town of Aurora, the Town Board does hereby approve the Open Development Area application for an accessory building garage at 1040A Sweet Road, East Aurora, New York.
So moved.
Motion by Ray. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Luke. Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On to new business. This is a request from Liz DeViso. Can I have a motion to approve the surplusing of the Mack Toolbox Economizer 2000 inventory number 2534 with the credit to be used towards the new toolbox?
So moved.
Motion by Luke, can I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jim. Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next is also from Liz DeViso. Can I have a motion to surplus the 2008 Carlton chipper?
So moved.
Motion by Luke. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ray. Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next is temporary use permit. Can I have a motion to approve the temporary use permit for Campus Cycling Collective at Nicely Park on November 9th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.?
So moved.
Motion by Jim. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Luke. Comments or discussion?
So I know this was John Roden's event. Have we had discussion with whoever's organizing it now? I'm assuming it's about the same, but just to,
We've done this several years.
Yeah.
He was-
Believe.
He was involved last year.
he was involved last year, the same guy, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next is a budget amendment from Kathleen. Can I have a motion to approve amending the budget to account for the receipt of funding from Erie County for the senior center treadmill as follows? Increase revenue line A 2706, grants from local governments by $5,000, and increase appropriation line A 6772.401, office supplies by $5,000.
So moved.
Motion by Jim, can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ray, comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And under communications, I have the May 2025 reports from the town clerk tax, town clerk water, new garbage accounts, the senior center, dog control, work requisitions, building department, and the supervisor's report, along with a Stop DWI Award recipient given to Jonathan Becker for his job well done there. And next is business from board members. We'll start with Ray.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Couple things here. On the comprehensive plan, last meeting, we completed our mapping session. We split up into two teams, Team Snyder and Team Rosin. And the feedback I got, preliminary feedback I got from that exercise is that we're remarkably in sync, that, we're of similar mind on, what we, at least complementary, certainly a lot of areas of similarity. So that's good news. We've been meeting for, 6 months so far.
October, so yeah.
So it's, yeah, exactly. So it's great that we're moving in the same direction. Right now, our current homework is to provide feedback on 3 areas by June 23rd. The community profile, the comp plan goals and strategies, and future land use categories. Now, according to the information I have, at least one overachiever has already sent his information back. So we got to keep up with you, Chuck. And then our next steering committee meeting is August 12th, and our final public workshop will probably be sometime in the end of August, and be in the same venue that we had the first one, which is the Aurora High School, and in the cafeteria. That was a pretty good place to have it.
That'll be in September, Ray? Probably?
End of August, probably. Yeah, so that we're ready for September and October approvals. Okay?
Supposed to be complete in October, right, Ray?
Right. So I think we're right on schedule.
Yeah.
Then Open Space Committee, last meeting for May, we met with Dave Gunner. We had some great discussion, great exchange of ideas. We discussed the wetlands maintenance, we discussed Majors North kiosk, which we decided is in really good shape, and all we need to do is really get that thing painted, so refurbished. We're going to do a new map for that location, and then, a new plywood front, which will be painted, which will provide a little better support for that kiosk. So all those things are really positive. And then potential kayak launch. I mean, he put forward potential to put a kayak launch at Majors North. We also have the opportunity to do it at the Legion and/or across the street. What I did is reached out to local kayak club. They're mostly whitewater, but a number of people that are residents of the town of Aurora that do regularly use the creek, and try and get their input on, first of all, is that, a good kayak launch for any of these locations? And secondly, what would be an optimal site for that? And also reached out to a couple of residents that live right on the creek to get their input. Unfortunately, with my back issues, I haven't gone out to talk to them, but plan on doing so as soon as I move in that direction. We're shooting for a more formal report either at the work session or at the board meeting, so that we have, those recommendations put forward. And then, due to soggy conditions, we were originally going to do the trail markers at Major South back in May, but, unless you're wearing waders, probably not good to go back into those trails, especially close to the creek. So we're now going to do it on June 14th at 1 p.m.
Nice.
Okay, so you'll be able to see those markers up, the yellow markers, after the 14th. And that's all I got.
We've joked about that. What color are they actually? I forgot.
Yellow.
They are yellow? Okay.
They're camouflage.
They're tree color.
Tree places. So,
Tim?
this weekend, I was hoping the chief was going to be here, because I was going to ask him about the new and improved Music Fest. We had a Westfall Center for the Arts had a tent, and it was over by 42 North, and there was a noticeably smaller crowd, and I know there were fewer participants in the local, but I wanted to ask him about that. But prior to that, there was a terrific event that was put together by some of our board members, at least helpful in getting it together. Was a Pride event that was in the parking lot. It was a great day. There was a lot of people there, very well attended, very respectful, and clean up everything. It maybe looked a little better than when we had started. But anyways, it was an excellent event, and so I give my thanks out to Joe and to Luke and anyone else that was helpful in putting that together.
Good. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, I think, and Jason did a great job too at the event.
Yeah.
He was there early, set everything up, so thanks to Jason for being there. Yeah. That was a great event. The only other thing that I haven't mentioned that I'll do now is the Scoot Around June is going on this year as well, which is where we give out awards and things from local businesses and the co-op for replacing road miles with non-road miles, walking and biking. And there's several businesses signed up there, and it's on the cleangreenaurora.com website, and I think sign-up has been pretty good. So that's great, and that'll give us, there's not a specific, obviously, category for that within the Climate Smart Community Plan, but it gives us points for community outreach, which is a separate category. So we'll get our points for that, which is good.
Thank you, Luke. I did speak to the chief earlier today. He sends apologies for not being able to make it tonight, but he had another event to attend. He wanted to be sure to thank Orchard Park, Cheektowaga, the state police, and of course our own force for really showing, it was a lot of police. It was a lot of police around everywhere. There was a sniper on the roof and the Griggs Ball, well, I'll call it the Griggs Ball building, but keeping an eye on everybody. There was a big, short of a tank, an MRAP from there, from the Orchard Park SWAT team. It was impressive.
And a lot of independent security too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
not just, you know.
And
police.
to your note, Jim, definitely attendance seemed to be down. I know that Liz and Rich went around to almost everywhere, if not everywhere, and when I ran into Liz, she said, yeah, it seemed to be just a little bit quieter than normal, but that's kind of what they wanted, so,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was excellent.
yeah, it was excellent.
Yeah.
And I also just want to mention that the hogweed at Majors Park has been, or Nicely Park, has been remediated. They really, in the end of it, only dug up 5 roots, but that's what they found, and they're gone now, so hopefully we won't see the hogweed again. That's all I had. Next is business from the audience, too. If anyone would like to address the board about anything, please step up to the mic, give us your name and address, and give us your thoughts.
Hi, my name is Jeff Miranda, 392 Maple. Just some ongoing concerns with the tree work and the fiber work. May 20th, they trimmed in front of my house. After you guys had the good board meeting with Gonet, O'Connell, and NICEAG, I got a hold of the arborist from O'Connell. He came out to my property. We sat down, went through everything. I was happy with what they decided. I found out later that they transferred it to the other company that was doing it, had some concerns. When I found out the village was going to do the moratorium, I reached out before that meeting to GoNet, said, listen, I signed the paperwork with O'Connell, it's a different company doing it. Because they're physically going on my property, I do not want them on my property until I talk to them. Their customer service rep said, I'll field it to the guy in the field first thing in the morning. He'll make sure they don't. Called GoNet the next morning just to make sure. Was told the same thing again. Needless to say, that information never made it out to the guys doing the trees. So they did the same, hack they've done it and everybody else. Reached back out to GoNet. We'll just say they've been less than responsive. Actually, the only response I've got, honestly, is from the board. Project manager from O'Connell reached out with an email. I emailed them back 3 times, including a number, when to get a hold of me. Never heard back. So then I started doing some research on my own. It turns out that internet is not a regulated utility. They don't have the same rights to do the work that NICEAG does. New York State, I inquired with them. Public Service Commission said it is not regulated. Sean Ryan's office tried to get it regulated, pass a law, it got voted down. So I have those confirmations. Went on the county website, on county roads, which I live in Maple, that is a county road, to do any fiber optic work, you have to get a permit. Did a FOIL request, there was no permits pulled for existing poles for fiber work or tree work anywhere on Maple. Waiting on a FOIL request from the county for any county roads with new poles. But part of the requirements for getting a permit is if a franchise is required, they have to obtain that first to get the permit. Now, I know Spectrum has a franchise with the town for cable, but they do internet also, so I would assume that GoNet would have to get that same franchise agreement. So they would not be able to get a permit if they need that franchise agreement. So I'm just wondering if we can take a 90-day pause to figure out what is actually required, what isn't required. Do they need permits for this? Do they need a franchise agreement? If they need a franchise agreement, you can't stop it, but you can put, say, listen, before you do any work, maybe we'll have an independent arborist look at every property before you do it. One of the requirements for new poles is that before you install, and this is from the county website, before you install any new poles, you have to ensure that you do minimal trimming and you have the homeowner's permission if their property butts the roadway before you do any trimming or installing poles. Now that's been done. So, like I said, I'd like to see if we could do just a 90-day hold just till we can get this all sorted out for sure. Because all we've ever heard from you guys in the village too, and especially when it first started, was there's nothing we can do. Maybe there is. Maybe just need a little more research and find different ways around it, but that's my thought. Thank you.
Okay,
Do we
you.
want to address that now, or?
yeah.
Yeah? I mean, say if you want to, I can add to it as well.
As we spoke a little bit earlier, Jeff, if you could forward some of that to me, I will forward it to our town or attorney, and she could look into it a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I'm just going to, so it's very unfortunate that you had the tree and there was the miscommunication. They had approval for it, right? And there's just a little bit different way of thinking about the town than the village. So the village in the 1920s or 1930s, I don't remember when, with the utility company that was several companies before NYSEG had entered into an agreement where they gave up all of the rights to any encumbrances on the poles in exchange for an agreement to be able to provide utilities in the village. And so what that does is it makes it a lot less complicated because there's one agreement from the 1920s, 30s where this really information was not there. So for them to be able to come in and say, there's a moratorium on trimming, and we're going to change the trimming, the rights of utilities to trim. It's really a contractual right that's been given to the company. Yeah,
So with regular utilities, I absolutely agree with you. They have the right to trim whatever they need to around their lines.
well, so,
But my thinking is, when they put new poles in, the only reason that pole is going in is to accommodate the internet service. It's not for the utility.
so this is where the issue becomes, because the contract between GoNet and the utility company, right? GoNet is the subcontractor for the utility company, so the rights of the utility company are going to GoNet, and GoNet has been permitted to put those lines on to the NYSEG lines. And in the town, it's different, because there are encumbrances, and each property is different, and if you look at your title, you're going to have all sorts of weird information, and as far as I understand it, because we have not found a franchise agreement anywhere for the town. Maybe one out there that just nobody knows about, but there are encumbrances. So those rights of the utility company then extend to GoNet, because it's that contract to GoNet is given, that the utilities' rights extend to GoNet, which is the issue. And so when GoNet's doing it, they're doing it not on behalf of themselves, they're doing it on behalf of NYSEG, who has given them the right to do it. So for the future, I think that, yes, we need to look into, changing the trim box or whatever, and how we can best do it, but we haven't found at this point a way, other than working with the companies, and Chuck has been doing a very good job of that, working with them like you had in the beginning, to try to make sure that we come up with the best solution, because there is going to be trimming. We do need electricity and utilities,
Absolutely.
and they do have a right to do it. So I don't know how much is actually left in the town. For not much really left.
Much left on Maple.
No,
Yeah.
but if, like I said, I'm not disagreeing that they have the right
Yeah.
to come trim around lines at all. But to me, the minute they have to put a new pole in just to accommodate the internet, that is no longer a utility job, that's for
But it's-
selling fiber.
But the question is, does the utility have the right to put that pole in that they're then giving to GoNet? And the answer that we found, and not to your particular property, because that may be different, but that the answer has been yes. So, so that's where the complications come in. And I think really, Chuck, the strategy has been to work with them and try to minimize and have property owners happy. And it's unfortunate that with your particular case, that you had communication and lost it. I think that's tough. But I think a moratorium at this point, I don't want to say too much, but it would be very, very risky for the town, because of what that purpose of the moratorium would be. Whereas the village has the ability to come up with something, a new village code where they, change the trim box or whatever, because of those contractual relations with NYSEG. It's different in the town because we don't have that, though it's not contractual relations, it's encumbrances, so.
I thought you had according to the supervisor, you had a charter or franchise with Spectrum.
We do have a franchise with Spectrum, yeah.
So wouldn't GoNet then require one also?
For the service, I don't know, we can look into that, but I don't know
They
as,
require one. I mean, for the, what I quoted with the permits and all that is only on county roads.
but again, it's not, they're doing the work on behalf of NYSEG.
Yes.
So the franchise agreement with them does not limit NYSEG from hiring anybody to do that work. That's a separate issue.
Like Asplundh does. Asplundh does all the trimming for,
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah,
For
but they
NYSEG,
don't, but
it's-
they're doing the trimming, they are not moving stuff up and moving things around.
So the,
And that's
so
where I'm getting
as
confused.
far as installing it, I think, but it's the rights of the utility company they're giving to GoNet, that GoNet is giving to O'Connell, that O'Connell is giving to whoever's out there now, Tree Care. That all extends from the utilities, so it's not like they're doing it on behalf of the utilities, which is
Okay.
what makes that a little bit different.
I'll forward it to.
But I think
Yeah,
you've,
and like I said, it does
Yeah.
mention hanging fiber, so
Yeah.
that's where I was looking at that going. If it says that they need a permit to hang the lines.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, that would be something different, I would assume.
yeah. But I think, I mean, any information you have, send over to Chuck,
Yeah.
and I think we'll try to see what we can do, but,
Okay.
you know.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Jeff.
Anyone else? Seeing no one. Move on to staff reports. Liz,
My floor, huh?
you got the floor.
I only wanted to briefly talk about Music Fest. We've been working, my department has been working with Chief Welch since the temporary use permit came in for the festival, and his concerns about over occupancy last year, in addition to a number of things, but that was what we were focusing on. So on Friday, after the fenced-in areas were installed throughout the venues, Rich did an inspection to verify that we didn't need to keep track of occupancy within those fenced areas, that they had the proper egress in order to not need that. So we did that, and then on Saturday, we were here from 5 to 10, and we swept the village 2 times, going venue to venue, and checking occupancy within the building, making sure egress was still clear and things like that. And then towards the end of the evening, we split up and he came to the east end and I went to the west end, just so that we could work with the security to ensure that the bars were the participating bars were shut at 10 o'clock. And to their credit, the security team did a great job and they cleared everything out. I texted the chief and said, okay, it's all yours. Our bars are closed and we are out of here. But we didn't run into any major issues. But we've recapped already with the chief about our concerns for next year if this does go forward.
Were there any non-participating bars? Liz?
There were non-participating bars, absolutely, and non-participating residences. We ran into some unpermitted food trucks. We ran into a couple of places that weren't on the permit that had been on the permit previously. So they were participating, but not so much this year. Yeah, so we ran into a few of those things, but we handled those, as we felt appropriate. But from my perspective, all in all, it was a good night.
I think, my understanding that some of the non-participating, and this is just from what I heard, but they wanted to participate, but because they were required to close at 10, if they participated, a bar that might be open till midnight or 1 normally, chose to opt out, but it's a village issue,
Yep, exactly.
so.
Okay. And can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Ray, can I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jim. Comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Thank you all for coming.
Here's a record.
No, it's probably
I
time.
don't think so. No. It's close.